One of the game modes that is finally getting a ton of play time is the Eternal War mode in Space Marine 2, or the PvP mode. And a lot of people are wondering, how does it perform? How does it stack up? There's a lot of mixed reviews across the board, across longevity, availability, balance, and what have you. In this video today, I'm going to give you my quick down and dirty review of it. The first 10 minutes after this intro are just simply that review. And then after that, I'm going to go into each and every class, kind of talking about their relative health and balance right now. It won't be an in-depth review of every single class, more of just a quick synopsis and overview of them. But in my typical fashion of upfronting the knowledge of my videos, my rating of the PvP as it is an 8.5 or 9 out of 10. I just really love it. I'm having a lot of fun. There's no established meta, so people are kind of all over the place killing each other. It's very fast. The time to kill is extremely quick. I'd say it's like anywhere from 4 to 6, maybe 8 shots, depending upon what type of target you're shooting at, their armor level, so on and so forth. So time to kill is very fast. I will also be honest with you and transparent. There are 3 game modes with 3 game maps right now. They have announced that more maps are coming, an arena mode is coming, and more game modes are coming. Those will all be coming in the beginning of 2025. So if you purely want PvP, just go ahead and wait until then. But there are a whole ton of things that are coming with the game on the PvE side of it that I think are going to create just a ton of longevity. Right now, balance for the game for the most part is okay. Some classes do suffer a little bit more than most, but I would also argue that this is the only game mode that has been developed in a vacuum, meaning there's just been not much exposure to tons of people. And I think by the time the game fully launches on the 9th, or maybe even that week, we'll hopefully have a day 1 patch. That's the entire gist of what we're going to be talking about here today. Again, I love PvP. I think it has a lot of really great merits, and I can definitely see a lot of the shortcomings or the things that people are having a problem with, which we'll talk about later in the video. But if that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to just simply shut the video down. If you want to just hear my review portion, just jump to the next section, and then you can stop watching the video after that if you so wish. But if this video ends up helping you, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. And if you've not yet picked up Space Marine 2, you can use my Fanatical link in the description and the pinned comment. I get an 8% commission, which is a huge help to the channel, but you get a 12% discount. Currently, as of the making of this video, they are running low on the stock of the Ultra and the Gold editions, but they said they'll be getting those back in the next couple days. Standard editions, they've got millions of, so you can just go ahead and buy that if you so wish. But let's get started here on my review of the PvP or Eternal War mode in Space Marine 2. So let's open up our conversation with a discussion about multiplayer on a higher level, or at least just a general overview. And I'll open this section too with giving you a general rating. I think, honestly, if I were to rate it out of 10, 1 to 10, multiplayer right now is at an 8.59. I'm having a great time. I'm loving it. There's, of course, no real established meta, so everything is just a shit show of different classes, different weapons, different everything, and people are kind of figuring it all out. With that being said, though, I think there are definitely some glaring issues with multiplayer. So multiplayer, for one, is if you enjoyed the Space Marine 1's multiplayer, you're going to get the exact same thing here coming into Space Marine 2. In fact, you're going to get access to more classes. If I remember correctly, I think it's like 3 classes in Space Marine 1, whereas 2 is going to give you 6 classes. But you do not, unfortunately, get any kind of kill streaks. That is a system that did not make its way across. So there is that issue if you have that issue. But Space Marine 2's multiplayer is very fun. It's very brutal. It's very fast, despite it being kind of like you're a Space Marine. You're not blitzing through the entire map. You're kind of relatively slow depending upon which class you're playing. And the time to kill is very low as well. I mean, honestly, I think a tactical can chunk down a heavy or a bulwark without its shields up in probably like 5 or 6 shots, and less in the other classes, and based off their durability. It's a very fast time to kill. And if you're a big fan of the tabletop, or you've read a lot of the lore, you know that that's actually pretty on point. The time to kill from a Space Marine to a Space Marine was a pretty quick thing. Like, oh, I took 2-3 shots of a bolt around to the chest, the 3rd one killed me. Stuff like that. So I like the feel of it. I like how punchy it feels. There is some issues with melee, and I'm going to talk about the bad things at the end of this little section, but I like how fun it is to try out different weapons, to try a faster fire rate weapon versus a lower power weapon, try out different melee weapons, try out different grenades. Like the shock grenade in PvP actually acts like a flashbang as well as an AoE damage ability. So that's really fun for me. The frag grenades in general are super brutal. You can throw one frag grenade and kill 2-3 Marines right there if they're all stacked up on the frag grenade. And each class is a vastly different play style for PvP. The tactical does not play in any way, shape, or form like the Vanguard. Same can be said for the Bulwark and the Assault or anyone else on the list. Every single thing feels fresh, different, and original. So it requires you to master each one of these classes. You can't play a tactical and go, cool, I'm pretty good at tactical, so I'm going to play a Bulwark. It's an entirely different play style. So that keeps it fresh for me, right? Like you think of Call of Duty, if you're jumping into a matchmaking situation, you play online in Call of Duty, well, yeah, you're going to master a different weapon, but by and large, the way and feel and the overall approach of multiplayer is the same for every single weapon in Call of Duty. Well, okay, like shotguns and snipers aside, but my point remains is you're going to play the game roughly the same. Even if you're thinking about Destiny, you have your 3 weapon types and then you've got your sniper, or you think about Halo, the game roughly plays the same, just depending upon which weapon you're using. Every single class has a different approach, and that to me is very rewarding because it requires you to master it. I think the biggest thing I've learned in jumping into the multiplayer for Space Marine 2 is that it is punishing in the same way the single player was, that it's punishing, you have to learn a skill set. But it's punishing in a different way in that you have to learn that class that you're playing. And if you don't learn it, you are just an absolute scrub-a-dub. And the game rewards you. The game rewards you for getting a higher veterancy, which is an overall veterancy for all your classes to unlock better weapons, to become better at that class. So I like those things about the PvP. I like that it is very hard. I like that Assault feels like shit. I like that Bulwark is not easy to play. I like that those things I need to learn to be better at playing, or else I'm just going to be bad at them. Versus it being very plug and play. Like you could play Call of Duty after not playing Call of Duty for 5 years and still get some respectable amounts of kills in a match. You know, like I enjoy that about this game. But what do I not enjoy about the PvP? And I think it's the same argument that a lot of people will have. For the single player being a very hybrid game of both melee and ranged, PvP is the same, but you're not really rewarded for going into melee. If you jump into melee as an Assault, which is the entire reason you are an Assault class, then if you miss your initial drop slam fuck with your hammer and you miss your initial swipe with a chainsword, all someone needs to do is just shoot you. In fact, even if you jump onto someone as an Assault and they're a heavy, the heavy can just simply hold down the trigger and kill you before your weapon attack animations can complete and kill them. So there's no real direct reward for being a melee character. And in fact, even if someone comes up to you and wants to melee, there's no respect for the melee situation. And I'm saying that in the sense that, oh, you're coming to melee me? Well, I got a melee too, or else I'm not going to win. No, I can just keep holding my trigger down. If I'm Assault attacking a tactical, even a Bulwark, a Vanguard, a sniper, a heavy, I can just keep pulling the trigger on my pistol or keep holding down the trigger on my auto weapon and it kills you. So there is some definite balancing that needs to be done there. And I think it's a pretty easy fix. You want to fix that, you just simply add a stagger for something that hits you in melee when you're using a ranged weapon. Boom. Okay, now I'm one hit behind, because really, when you're holding down the weapon to kill someone who has started meleeing you, you don't win by a huge margin, you win by a pretty small one. By the time you kill someone, you probably have 30% health left. If they had gotten 1, maybe 2 more swings off, you'd have died. So I think adding some form of stagger there gives you the capability to complete your melee attack and actually do the kill. And if you're Assault, your point is, the whole point of playing Assault is not to stay in combat. More on that a little bit when I review the Assault section when we get there. And another issue I have with melee is perfect parry doesn't work. Parry is a really funky system in PvP. You like spam the button, the timing isn't right, you kind of sometimes do it. Bulwark seems to be the easiest one because you'll get that splash of the Thunder Shield. But by and large, parrying is not a rewarding mechanic. In fact, I don't even touch it. If I'm playing any class, I'm either going to shoot you in the face or I'm going to try to outdamage you. And there is I guess somewhat of a reward, but when you're playing a melee class, if you swipe at someone with a chainsword, it bypasses their armor entirely. So the time to kill is actually kind of lower. They have tried to compensate for it. But a lot of the issues people have with PvP, I think they're all going to get worked out very quickly, because this is the game mode that I think has been most developed in a vacuum. It's finally now being exposed to hundreds of thousands, a million people, however many have sold so far. So we're finally getting some feedback to the developers. The developers have that forum, right, where you can say, hey, I recommend these things. So I'm super optimistic about PvP. I think it's a really great system as is. Another set of bad situations that I know people don't like right now, there are only 3 game modes with only 3 maps. It can be any game mode on any map, but still that only allows for a total of 9 permutations. They are adding new maps, and they are adding a PvP arena. Those are coming in the future seasons of the game. We have this first season starting in October is adding a bunch of PvE stuff, and we are getting new game modes and a new map in the very beginning of 2025. So that's coming right then and there. So we know that there's a lot of stuff coming to the game, a lot of improvements. So we don't really know how that's going to really push out into additional stuff. And correction here, season 1 starts here in September. Season 2, quote unquote, starts in October. They've said that season 1 is going to be it's going to be focused more on balance and stability. And that's another big thing. It's about balance. Right now, I will tell you, and I'll go in more on this in their respective sections, Assault and Bulwark are probably the weakest classes in PvP, because Assault can just get smashed out of the air with tons of gunfire, and Bulwark, unless you really learn it, can really struggle to find its pacing behind the other things that can just simply stun you with a Vanguard, range you down with a tactical, completely destroy you with heavy, or snipe your head off with a sniper. Like you are rewarded more with ranged combat than with melee combat. You have to be very clever with your melee combat in PvP. So that's the overall review of PvP. You could shut the video down now at this point and not really care about the rest. I'm now just going to talk about each of the 6 classes and what their overall kind of health is like. Like, are they a really good one? Are they really a bad one? Whatever it is in this next section. But I just wanted to give that up front to you so you have that information. Again, I'd give it an 8.5, 9 out of 10. I absolutely love it. But I loved the PvP in Space Marine 1. So I'll say those things up front. There's no real set established long-term, like, oh, there's not a big ladder and there's not a big leaderboard yet, or any of those things. I'm sure those things will come in time. Right now, it's smash your Battle Brothers faces in with fist, hammer, and bolter. So let's now talk about the individual classes. Before we get into each and every class, one thing that's important to know is the difference between your classes levels and your veterancy level. Everything in PvP unlocks with veterancy level. If I want to say maybe get access to the Plasma Incinerator, I need a veterancy level of 25. That is not linked to my class. That is an overall arc. So the game rewards you by playing whatever class you want. This is just a whole entirely different system that allows its own, it doesn't really have an unlock attached to it. I think the unlocks that are attached to it are these right here, your individual matches with this weapon. And you don't have to win 20 matches with this weapon in Eternal War mode to unlock, but that's not relegated specifically to the class. So this is just, I think it's just showing you something. This might be for future stuff, but right now, these levels don't mean anything. The only thing that traverses between PvP and PvE are the wins of matches that go towards unlocking different armor sets. Because remember, all these say achieve victory in 28 missions and operations or matches in Eternal War mode to unlock. So you can get advantage of basically blitzing through a ton of matches in PvP to get all the really cool stuff that you then want to go back and grind for your perk levels in PvE. There are no perks in PvP. So I wanted to have that said up front before we go into each class. So what we'll do now is go over every single class on a pretty high level to talk about kind of how they are right now in PvP. And it's pretty safe to say that a lot of things are going to change, because we're going to, by the time day 1 happens, September 9th, they'll have 4 days of actual multiplayer knowledge to go through, or logs to check through, to probably give us some sort of day 1 or at least week 1 patch that will affect balancing quite a bit, because there are definitely some imbalances between these classes. So with Tactical, I will say, honestly, pound for pound, it's probably the strongest class right now. It's your typical Call of Duty bro. You're running and gunning, you're gunning things down, you have access to all these different rifles. The bolt carbine's really cool on the sniper. You have a marksman, you have your what's it called? Your scout rifle basically right here. You'll eventually get a shotgun with the melter rifle, which is not really a shotgun, but still short range. You just have a lot of really great weapons. But really, the bolt rifle is amazing. This is the only class that I think when you right out the gate next to the heavy is just amazing from start to finish. It's really strong. It's got a great set of what's it called? a kit here with bolt pistol and chainsword, so it can still kind of go toe-to-toe in combat. It doesn't have the combat knife, which is not as effective in close combat. And the Auspex scan is absolutely crucial. It increases that damage to everything, but more importantly, it allows you to see what's going on, right? It gives you a wall hack. So you know if people are about to round a corner, so you can pre-shoot a corner and just mess people up, either for you or your whole entire team. Right now, Tactical is very, very, very strong. Next up is Assault. And Assault, honestly, is probably one of my favorite classes, and it is in a real rough spot right now. And really the rough spot has to do with the fact that melee is not as rewarding as range combat. Like I said here in the overview, you can just get gunned down as an assault either when you're up in the air or when you land, because nothing really staggers things. Maybe your ground slam will, but if you're not a Vanguard, there's no way to really lock someone or stun them. And that means that if you jump on, say, a heavy, if you don't jump behind them and they don't know you're there, then they can just simply unload into you and kill you before you can melee them down. And another thing here is, with the Assault, we have access to a chainsword, which is good, a Thunderhammer, which is awesome, and a Power Fist. The problem is, the Thunderhammer is just too slow. Its first attack is very cumbersome, but you hold it down to charge it for a second attack, which has a big AoE boom, and that's really good. But it takes a long time to do that, and the time to kill is too fast for that to actually go off. The Thunderhammer is why you play Assault, right? That's what I think of when I think of Assault. I play Blood Angels, I got a Smash Captain, he's ripping and gripping in there with a Thunderhammer and a shield. I can't really do that very well with Assault because this one is just too slow. The cleaving potential is 6 on this one. It's got a low strength. I think, honestly, if this was a higher strength block version of the Thunderhammer, like the tier 2 Mastercrafted one that I think is like 9 strength, I think it would be better. The slowness would be at least be countermanded by the fact that it's so much stronger. So Assault is in a weird spot. But I will tell you, to play Assault, you have to do nothing but flanking. You cannot go with your team, because if you go with your team, you're going to jump in the air with your team, and they're going to be, oh, well, that guy's in the air, I'm going to shoot him the fuck down. You need to go on the ground, you need to run around, find a flank, and jump and attack from the flank. And then you need to jump back up in the air, or use your jump pack to dash away. That is how I have learned Assault is really the way they're meant to be played. And I know that can seem like kind of a no-brainer, but what I will say, and I did not cover this in the PvP overview, which is unfortunate, is the game almost forces you to play as a team, which I love. So if you're playing as a team, then you need to stick together. And if you're sticking together as an Assault, you're just easy to pick out in a group. So you need to be the one that's breaking off a little bit as you get close to the enemies, using the tactical aspects to your advantage to get a good idea of where they are, repositioning, slam fucking them, and then trying to get out as fast as you can. You might slam into 3 people, kill 2. That third one can gun you down so fast, you might as well jet up or jet out as fast as you can so you can maintain those hit and run tactics. So if the Assault is in a weird spot, the Vanguard's in an amazing spot. I think Vanguard is everything that the Assault wants to do. You have a lot of mobility. Your grapnel launcher locks people down. You can grapnel from a long distance, but most importantly, you can grapnel to anything. So you can actually use it to launch up onto a high part of the map and shoot down at things. You can use it to jump up into a high part of the map, then jump down and slam things with your knife. It's a really cool mechanic that allows you to move around the battlefield in a way that the Assault can, but also you have a lot of ability to stun things with the grapnel launcher that the Assault cannot. You also have a really cool weapon in the Oculus Bolt Carbine. You can switch over to the Instigator Bolt Carbine if you want. It's a 3-round burst. I can't wait to try it. I'm sure it's going to be great. I liked using pulse rifles in Destiny. And you start off with a combat knife that eventually goes to a chainsword. Chainswords will bypass armor. I do not believe combat knives will. So you have that benefit. And that is a really nice kit. It starts off strong, and it is going to get even stronger as you level up your veterancy. Vanguard is really, really strong. It's great in PvE, it's really good in PvP, and I think it's one of the ones that you're going to be rewarded a lot with if you like having more of a run and gun style, getting up close and personal, but also jumping into melee when you can. It's definitely going to be different than Assault, but it does a lot of things that I think Assault wish it could. So I've mentioned Assault as one of my favorites, but Bulwark is my favorite class in PvE. In PvP, it's a different beast. You get a lot of the great things from PvE Bulwark. You get your chapter banner, you restore armor, you have your shield. The shield is unbreakable. You hold down that shield and you can infinitely block, but it only blocks in a very tight, like, I didn't want to say 45, and I don't want to say a 90-degree angle. It's like a 65-degree angle in front of you. And in fact, it's to the side of you. It's just slightly to the left. So you kind of have to angle the shield whenever you're moving around. So it's easy to get around, but if you're inexperienced, you don't know how to really get around a Bulwark. So that's the strength of a Bulwark. And the Bulwark is awesome because it could eventually get a plasma pistol pretty early. I think it's Veteran C rank 6 that you get the plasma pistol, and this gives you a lot of really good range punching power. You're stuck with a chainsword though until Veteran C 9, which is very punishing. And I love the power fist, is my favorite on the Bulwark, and you don't get that till 21. What you need to do as a Bulwark though is I know it's easy to want to, it's tempting to want to jump into melee combat as a Bulwark, but the Bulwark I've learned survives the best hanging out right in front of everyone with their shield up, kind of moving left and right, dropping their chapter banner to keep their armor and the armor of everyone around them up. And at the same time, as the Bulwark, you need to kind of bait out things. And that's something I'm terrible at. But all the best Bulwarks I've ever seen, they will kind of move forward, and then as you start to go towards them to maybe melee, they just back up and start shooting you, trying to use the advantage of that shield as best you can. And that's where you really thrive, because the heavy has a shield, right? But you can give a shield to everyone by kind of moving back and forth. It's really truly the master baiter of Space Marine 2. And I said what I fucking said. It's easy to want to jump into melee, but like I said, melee right now is not rewarding. Eventually people will collapse on you and you will need to go into melee, but if they opened up on you and got 2 hits and you go to swing back, you'll die first. So those are times where you need to kind of back up, use your chapter banner, try to get a little room in you, try to get other people with you. Bulwark and a tactical is 2 of the strongest combinations, because you hold the line, the tactical can chunk anything, even if they go into melee with you. You just hold your shield up and they'll take care of it. So if you have a friend you're playing with, do a tactical Bulwark together, and it's super strong. There's 2 people I was playing against last night. They were Jacaradons, the sharks. They both have the shark armor on, and it was awesome. They were cleaning up. They were absolutely messing everyone up. But as the Bulwark, you are not someone to jump into combat. Leave that for the Assault and Vanguard. You can be potent in close combat, but know that you are better as a support defender that can hold a point, that can keep your friends alive, and I think you'll start to thrive as a Bulwark. But right now, it's very easy to get lost in the sauce while playing. Try not to do that. Keep a level head and you'll have a lot more fun. The ultimate stealth class is always going to be the sniper, right? And the sniper is a very rewarding gameplay loop here in the PvP for Space Marine 2. You have a camo cloak, and that camo cloak will last, I think it's like, I want to say 5 seconds, maybe 8. I don't know. I'm throwing 8 out there because it seems like a fun number. But it doesn't last for long, but it recharges very quick. So it conceals you until your next attack. Breaks camo, of course. It's a really fun class. The sniper rifle is very rewarding. It does take about 2-3 hits depending on what you're shooting at. But I've noticed that a lot of good, if you're good at sniper gameplay in games, you're going to have a lot of fun as a sniper. I am not anymore. I used to, not anymore. I would say trash tier, but they're really cool. They can position themselves in places. They can go camo. They can pop headshots. They can go camo to leave a situation. They've got a lot of really fun capability. And even if they get dived by an assault, like I said before, just simply shoot them down with a bolt pistol, or even shoot them in the air with a bolt sniper and then switch to bolt pistol, and you'll gun them down pretty quickly. The combat knife, again, does not really bypass armor, and you're stuck with that as your primary and as your secondary, but that's okay. The big thing, though, that I love, that I've been using tons of, and you're going to see a lot of gameplay here of, is the bolt carbine for the sniper. It is so rewarding to play the sniper kind of like you would an assault, where you are lancing out to the side, you pop into cloak, you go up there and you shoot. And the nice thing with the bolt carbine is if you're unloading a clip while cloaked, you stay cloaked. You just get it. It just keeps going into. And the nice thing too is you can use this while still moving at full speed. Most classes, when they shoot, they want to aim down sight. You can aim down sight or just shoot hip fire with the bolt carbine. If you're from Call of Duty, approach the bolt carbine in the same way that you would SMGs, where you rarely aim down sights, right? You use more hip fire and you keep moving, you keep moving, you keep moving. Sniper with a bolt carbine and camo cloak is that same style of play. You'll be able to, you can stand in front of a bulwark, sidestep them and unload your clip, they won't be able to pivot fast enough because they move slower, and you can just riddle their entire side. Or better, you move away from their shield, and that's where you get a lot of the really good damage in. It's such a fun play style, and I think if you like playing a sniper, you're going to have a ton of fun as a sniper. And when you unlock the Las Fusel, you're going to have even more fun. Even the Scout Rifle is going to be a lot of fun for you. Scout Rifle, the Stalker Bolt Rifle. But the Bolt Carbine is a real cool interim spot where the sniper really thrives, I think, as well, where you get to be kind of a lone wolf and do quite a bit of damage. A lot of these clips were me just jumping in there and riddling people with bullets, then getting out. Kind of that same kind of play style as Assault, with, I think, a little bit more reward, since, like I said, range is more rewarding than melee right now. And our last class here is Heavy. Heavy is very strong. Access to the Iron Halo gives it such a good amount of range durability. Like I said before, it has range is so punishing and strong, they can completely negate it. And at a pretty consistent pace too. In different ways than Bulwark, right? Like people can hang out behind you as a heavy, shoot through your shield and get plenty of advantage. A heavy and a tactical together is a very destructive combo. In addition to, you'll eventually evolve into a multi-melta for pure destruction and a heavy plasma incinerator at 23 for AoE bombs of destruction. I don't know, I'm going to use that word destruction again, but it happened anyway. And you get a plasma pistol pretty early in the heavy's the veterancy levels. So you get a lot of really good punching power with your sidearm if you need it. The nice thing too is that the heavy is just very strong. It has 4 blips of armor. It can just take a ton of punishment. It's in Gravis armor, so it can really soak up a lot of damage. And all those things really translate to a class that is very strong. If you don't have one on your team, when you jump into a team, or you jump into a PvP match, you'll feel it. You will definitely feel it. If they've got 2 and you've got none, you will probably be on the losing side for sure. But if you just have 1, it gives you such a good firing platform of additional support, since range damage, like I said before, is so rewarding. It allows you to really pour out a ton of damage, keep a lot of people alive, and also there's penetration or whatever it is that allows you to shoot through people with heavy that other classes don't usually have, so you can actually just shoot through some stuff and kill it. I think it also depends on the weapon, but that's one thing I've noticed that the heavy can do, which is weird. And I don't know if that's a me thing and I'm wrong, so feel free to correct me, but that's one of the things I've noticed about the heavy is it's been more than any other class, the class that has changed the ebb and flow of a PvP match. Both heavy and tactical have that effect, because tactical can kill things so quickly and so effectively, and heavy has durability and killing power that all the other classes just do not have. But at that, it brings our video here to a close. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of how PvP plays itself out in Space Marine 2. The game is in a really good spot, and I think there's a lot of critiques about the longevity of the game, but they've been very transparent in showing us what those future plans will look like. They've given us a whole entire, what's it called? Not a game pass, not a game plan, a future plan to show you what's coming out in the game. Whatever the hell those things are called. They've shown us exactly what's coming from month to month to month. We know by the midpoint of roadmap, as it would be a roadmap, like the middle point of 2025, we're going to have a ton more PvP stuff added. We're going to have new PvE operations added. We're going to have a lot of PvP new enemies. We're going to have a lot of new chapter packs and stuff like that. So there's a ton of support incoming. And with our feedback, hopefully we'll be getting different additions, different improvements, balancing to PvP, which it of course needs. And like I said, it's probably the one mode that has been the most in the vacuum since development started of this game. And go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Are you enjoying PvP? Do you think PvP is in a weird spot, but you're still enjoying it? Do you think it's in a weird spot and you're not enjoying it? Or are you just outright not enjoying it? I think most people fall somewhere in the middle there. It's in a weird spot and they're enjoying it, or it's in a weird spot and they're not enjoying it. I think I'm not going to lie to you. Maybe I'm an outlier in that I really enjoy it, but I think I enjoy it so much because I've been a Warhammer fan for 20 plus years. So this is like a power fantasy boner, but also at the same time, I played Space Marine 1 and it's kind of a lot of the same thing. So I really love that about 1 and I'm loving it so much more here in 2. So go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.